All turned on?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have 3 of them this evening.
So much paper.
Actually 2, plus a general assistance ordinance to talk about.
Could we move Paul up?
But, yes, thank you. Paul, do you mind doing your part of the meeting tonight? Because I know you have to leave early.
What's my part? We need to talk about the potential for CDL driver license. Yep.
I hear I didn't bring it up, so I'm not sure. I'm happy to answer any questions or participate in a conversation.
Number 3.
We make the adjustment.
Yeah, we better vote on making the adjustment.
That's what I didn't
Thank you, Abden.
I didn't think we did.
A motion to move 10.1 up to the beginning of the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
So in response to the select board's desire to discuss having a discussion with Paul about commercial driver's license for anybody driving fire trucks, I thought it was a good idea that we better start the conversation in case it has to be funded in the budget.
Yep.
I was hopeful that John Daigle would be here at the start of the meeting, so, because I'm sure he can add something to it. But I thought this would be a great time for you to express why you would like it, and maybe Paul can answer and address any questions you have.
I think we would like it because we're talking about a close to $1 million truck that's going to be added to a fleet that's already quite expensive. And it would be helpful to have folks driving those things who we know are certified commercial drivers and have practiced and know how to back them up, maneuver them in tight spots, and know what to do, what not to do when they shouldn't be doing it. So,
Yeah. First of all, I'm not opposed to this request. My one concern would be who's going to pay for it, for the classes. And it is just additional training to an already very busy training plate that's pretty full already with expectations and requirements that we have on us for training. What is required in which we meet all the requirements is we have EVOC, which is Emergency Vehicle Operators Course, which is a very extensive class. They go through a road course similar to the CDL requirement course. It's specifically designed for fire apparatus. It's about a 4-night course and then a whole day, Saturday or a Sunday day as well that goes with it. It's about a 16-hour class in addition to the road course. So that's what we currently do,
Do you know how many of your current members already have
all of them.
CDL?
CDLs, I would say 3.
Maybe,
Well,
I would say
4.
Mark,
4, Mark, Gabe,
John, Blodgett.
John Blodgett, and Dick Glidden.
of those 3 who have it, are you more comfortable when they get in the driver's seat than when some of the other guys might?
We're all most comfortable when Dick Glidden's driving. He's got more years' experience behind the wheel than any of us combined.
I like to hear that.
Nice.
But as far as we've got very extremely capable drivers that don't have it, and we feel as comfortable riding with several without it than we do with some that have it. Does that make polite sense?
Being very diplomatic. Thank
Trying.
you.
Is this licensure for all the vehicles or just a new truck?
Our EVOC, the certification we currently have.
Yes.
Yeah, the EVOC covers all
Okay.
fire apparatus.
All right.
If you have EVOC, you can drive an ambulance, but if you have the ambulance certification, you can't drive a fire truck. So,
Okay.
because there are differences
Okay.
between it.
Gentlemen,
But
sorry.
I do understand with what, before we go to Melvin,
Yeah.
what you said about the ladder truck coming, I totally agree. And there will be extensive driver training that's gonna go along with that before anybody gets certified in it. But in addition to just driving these trucks, it's not just getting behind the wheel, it's not having a state license. There's a lot that goes into driving a piece of fire apparatus. You gotta be able to pump it, you have to be able to operate everything that goes with it. So even if they had a CDL license, doesn't mean that the fire chief's gonna let them drive that truck. There's a lot more training that goes into it other than just driving it down the road.
I'm sorry.
Back to you.
I don't know.
Wanna go back to Melvin?
Yes, please.
I believe that the way the fire department is run, and with their drivers that drive these trucks, they have experience and they've been trained. Any CDL driver can legally drive with that license. That don't mean they know how to drive it, and they can't use it. Here's a guy with no legs with a CDL license. You want me jumping all over a fire truck? Can't be done. So, you know, I think we're wasting money. The EBOT system that he's telling about is far more effective.
I have a question about that. The, if we were to go with the CDL, does the town fall into the random drug screening and everything?
Yes.
Do they do that? Yeah, so it'd be the random drug, okay.
Which technically, if we change the policy, we could require for employees
We could do
anyway.
it, and I think, and I don't see anything wrong with that either.
Correct. Yeah, I've never gotten pushback from the chief on that.
And I don't think Dale or I, again, neither one of us are opposed to this. You know, requiring it, if you do, we'll do it. If you don't, I want to assure you that we're gonna continue to train and, you know, take care of what you folks have entrusted to us, so.
It's not a legal requirement.
It is not a legal requirement.
The EVOC is,
EVOC
Yeah,
is,
yeah, I understand that.
but the CDL is
Okay.
not.
I guess what makes me a little nervous is we receive shipments at the warehouse, and I've seen all kinds of guys try to back up 52-foot trailers to that door. And some of them are really good, and some of them aren't good at all. So even having a CDL doesn't guarantee they're gonna be
Yeah.
skilled.
well, I will tell you something in my experience as a town manager, because over the years, my fire trucks have had whoopses. And most of the time, they self-weed. Because being a man, and no offense to any men in the room. But when you back up and you hit something, you normally at the banquet get an award, and you are, let me tell you, you are hard to live that down. You could back over a cone, a traffic cone, at a scene.
Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Things can happen. So normally the ones that shouldn't be backing it up or driving it, they tend to shy away from it.
Give them a
because
white helmet, and put them in charge. That's
They
what
don't.
do.
They don't want to have that.
I think Paul's group put on a funeral service for a
They
cone
did.
that got whacked once. Isn't that right?
You hit one cone, you never hear the end of it.
But we have had accidents, and
Yes.
one of them, I know it was pretty serious.
Yep.
What's the deductible under our policy?
I don't know. But,
I'd have to
but that
look it
one
up.
incident that you were talking about wouldn't have mattered if they had a CDL in their pocket or not.
No, it wouldn't have.
The road gave way
Might not have.
underneath the truck, so
Yeah.
it really didn't make any difference.
Well, it's just like I said. You know, it's we can definitely continue to talk about it.
And
But
as the chief said, if we did do CDLs for everybody, there'd still be guys, if I walk in the station and I'm getting on the truck, I'll pick someone over someone else to drive if I have to.
right.
With or without that license
Yeah.
in their pocket.
And they do. I really they do self weed. You'd never want to make a fool of yourself in front of your friends.
Well, it's our lives. Whoever's driving that truck, I mean, forget the $1 million cost of the
Right.
truck. That's
don't
irrelevant
wanna-
to
you don't
me
wanna
in the big
screw up.
picture. They got lives of 5 other people in their hands when they drive that truck. So we are not gonna let anybody get behind that wheel that we don't trust with the lives of our firefighters, so.
Okay.
Okay.
We got you out of here at 6:10. Thank you for coming.
Any other questions? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Did
Go
you
back
dress
to the
up for
normal
us?
order here.
He did. He always does.
Either that or a funeral.
I know. I
So
don't think it's us.
we have a public hearing to open. I'll open that public hearing now. And there's a liquor license renewal for Broadwing Farm, DBA Harvest Moon.
Make a motion to open hearing?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
There have been no incidences reported to the police department.
Is there any public comment about this application? Okay. Take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. We act on the liquor license renewal for Broadwing Farm. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a
Second?
All in favor? Okay. We have another public hearing for liquor license renewal for Laura Cabot, DBA Laura Cabot Catering. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Police department also said there's no issues.
Yep. Any public comment on Laura Cabot Catering? Okay. I have a motion to close the public
Make a
hearing.
motion to close?
Is there a second? All in favor? Clearing is closed. And a motion to act on the license renewal for Laura Cabot, DBA Laura Cabot Catering.
Second?
Second. All in favor? Okay. And the third item is the Town of Waldeboro's General Assistance Ordinance. We need to open a public hearing for that as well.
And we do have our wonderful general assistance guru.
Yep.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, the hearing is open.
You have before you the new numbers for general assistance guidelines. Overall maximums, you can see the difference on the right is the old number, on the left is the new. So for one person, it went up $5 to $11.317 on down through. Food stamps went up either $1 to $2 depending on the number in the household. And rent went up $3 for a one-bedroom, $12 for a three-bedroom, and $20 for a four-bedroom. Also noted down at the bottom that minimum wage went to $11 versus the $10 last year. If you flip that sheet over, there were ordinance changes. Our ordinance is dated 2013. There were changes in 17 and 18. In 18, there was some language about fraud. Fraud is if you make a false statement, if you conceal information, or if you use what you've been granted for funds other than what they are intended. In August, they did the maximums, which we just talked about, and then they specified the new laws on burials. There are 3 business days that the funeral home has to contact the GA when they receive the body, and then you have 8 days to determine if they're eligible. Back in 17, the changes, they added basically 3 things. Registered domestic partners are now financially responsible for the home, the burial, what have you. There was quite a bit of language on non-citizen pursuing a lawful process, and we can give them assistance up to 24 months under the new law. And then the last one are national banks are obliged to disclose deposit information, particularly on deceased individuals, if they're asking for a funeral or cremation. So those are the changes to the ordinances. Would like in the motion to have the 2018 ordinance be our ordinance and the new maximums.
Is there any reimbursement for digging up a turtle?
We can submit that to the state and see. I haven't,
Come on, that was funny, Daryl.
I don't know what was
you bury it?
involved. Have not
Well,
had
we had to
a,
dig it up before we buried it.
Did you check for burial things in here?
I just was trying to make Daryl laugh because he was so serious. It's my goal in life is to make Daryl laugh every day.
So we
trying
move
to
on.
haunt me tonight.
Move to close the public hearing?
I just want to see if there's any public comment for just a moment. If there's any public comment. There's none. Take the motion. Thank you, Clint.
Second?
Second. And all in favor of closing the hearing? Act on the general ordinance, the general assistance ordinance. Is there a motion?
Move to accept?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Does this go to the town vote? Or is it just?
No, I think it's
just
just us.
This is an ordinance that the selectmen
Okay. I'll just-
approve each year. Yeah.
Just us.
I was just-
So it's not an amendment that needs to go to the town.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Citizen comments? Wow, we don't have any tonight. Select board comments?
You have anything, Kate? I'd just like to just say I attended a nice winter concert today at Miller Grade School. It was excellent. It's not because I had 3 or 4 grandchildren in it, nothing to do with that. It was just an excellent concert.
Nice. What kind of concert was it? Just singing?
Just a winter concert singing, yeah.
Yep, nice.
It's pretty nice.
I just have a question. Are we,
Grant.
are we taking 10.2 off the agenda?
10.2 was voted, we voted to change the, we voted at the beginning to change the
I
order
thought
of
it
the
was
meeting.
just for, to have.
We haven't taken
Paul.
10.2 off yet. No, you're right. Thank you. Well, let's finish where we are and then we'll go back and do
Okay.
that. Thank you. Any comments from anyone?
Yeah, the Shellfish Committee had been working on a grant. Can't remember what the name of the,
Shellfish Resiliency
that- is
and
that what
Restoration and Resiliency Grant.
Julie, in her wisdom of writing grants, wrote us a grant to possibly get some money for that. We've got quite a bit of money in our reserve account for the Shellfish Committee. And I wanted to figure out a way to be able to spend that and get some more stuff done in the river. And Julie wrote us a grant that hopefully we will get. I'm not sure exactly when we'll,
We should know within a month. It's going to be awarded at the big
the Fisherman's Forum.
Fisherman's Forum, but
Yep.
it was actually a great idea, and I don't, it was specifically for the moving of seed.
Right. But I think we've broadened it out beyond that to expand with Gabby Hilliard's mapping of the river, of the flow and stuff like that. to
So when we-
potentially where we could put seed that would survive a lot better and stuff like that. So it's,
That's cool.
yep,
Together with UMO.
yep.
Is
We're
this,
partners.
is this where you're gonna possibly dig up areas where for seed clams?
Yep,
And then put them
and then
in the
put 'em
areas
where-
that you wanna seed them?
With her mapping of the river and the flow and stuff like that, we could potentially put it where it will more than likely survive. That's the hopes of it.
And then we'll get interns to check them
Yep.
and see if they grow, and how they grow, and how fast they grow.
Yep. That's great.
Yep, so.
So how many clams would you have to transplant?
I don't,
In
we-
order to get the
I think
seeding
we've-
levels you
I
need.
think the way the grant was written, we roughly budgeted about 60 bushel per year. We would break it down into 3 years, move like 60 bushel per year. And we were gonna pay the harvesters to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this is a source of income?
Yep, yep,
That's cool.
yep. So pay them to do it. I mean, a lot of guys are paying for their time, so somebody else, so we've got this big bank of money that we haven't spent on reseeding. A lot of it's gone towards sampling, water testing and stuff like that, the other projects, but I wanted to get it.
And it's not
turned in-
tax dollars.
And it's not tax dollars.
Right.
I
It's
just-
your guys' dues, basically.
Yep.
And what they pay
All-
for their licenses.
Yep, yep, but I was trying to figure out how to get this accomplished without becoming a town employee if we use the shellfish money, so we have to use a grant to do that, and then they can be paid to go out and do the work and actually turn it into a big project, so.
Would your committee be required to do any match funding if the grant is awarded?
That's what we want to do.
That's what you want to do.
That's what we're gonna
how you
take that
get to
money.
use your money.
Right, so,
Yep.
I think the grant was potentially up to $20,000.
We applied for the full 20.
Wow.
Yep.
Go big or go home.
Is that a 3-year grant?
Yep, no, that's what we put in for the.
We would put in for 3 years.
Yeah,
put in-
we couldn't do all this in 1 year. It's,
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
it's too much for
Okay.
what we would like to do. So we broke it down into a 3-year program.
That gives you income stability, too.
Yep,
Oh, man.
yep, so,
There's a website out there, this is tangential to what you're saying, but it came to my mind and I thought I should bring it up. There's a website called Flood IQ. It's worth going to, because they're projecting what the floodplain will look like 5, 10, 15 years down the road. and it will impact Waldoboro.
Yep.
The climate change is going to impact, I'm sure it's going to impact you guys when you're out there on the flats pulling out clams. Might be worth keeping track of.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments from the select board?
I have one just to sort of hitch on to Abden's. On February 16th, Madomic Arts Project in town, 13 Friendship Street, is having an art opening, and it's called The Gift of the Madomic. All of the art will be of the and about the Madomic River. We have now 9 artists, including photographers, who are going to show, and we're really trying to get some of those people who work in the river to come enjoy the art from, you know what I mean? So if you could spread the word, free food and drink. Can't beat it. Good art,
I think I'll be there in spirit either
Nice.
way, won't I?
probably, yeah, yeah.
Maybe on the wall?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything more about that. But it would be very nice to see some of those people who make their living on the river to come enjoy another piece of the river, and to see that there are people who really do believe that the river is a gift in lots of ways. So that's good. And I also met the new Bob Butler today. I opened the door for a man carrying a stack of stuff into the post office. And as I opened the door, I saw Hoba on his license plate. And I said to him, "Are you the new Bob Butler?" And he said, "Why, yes, I am."
That would have been Brian.
I couldn't come up with his name right away, but
Yeah, that would have been Brian.
anyway. So I figured he was the guy.
Glad to know he was carrying stuff into the post office. That's
Oh,
always
yeah.
good.
Big.
Good.
I had to get the door for him.
Thank you.
It's good.
Anything else from select board members? Julie?
So, we've been having a lot of fun lately. We need to, the auditor was supposed to be here tonight, they will be here in the February meeting. Negotiations are ongoing. We are working on our community forum for our healthy living and recreation forum that we're going to have in April. If anybody has any more names from the select board, please give that to me. We're still looking to fill a patrolman position. Maine Water is working on their proposals. So the Waldo Theater, we had this discussion before about potentially plowing their parking lot, and we found out that we couldn't. But we did come up with a way that we could help the Waldo Theater that I want your approval for. And that is using myself and Maximilian to help them with some grant applications. Which I think is, and I checked with the MMA, is much more in keeping them plowing parking lots.
Yep.
So if you guys are okay with that, I think that's something that would be a really good thing to do, and it would count as an in-kind donation. And it is our time, and it is something that Max and I are pretty decent at. So it's just really exciting. We met with, not last Friday, but the Friday before, we met with a foundation that I guess our project didn't really fit what they wanted, but they know other people, so that's a good thing. So we continue to meet to find sources of funding for the Waldo, because that is a very important project. The Marijuana Committee has voted to disband. They will come before you and present their findings at a meeting in February. And if everybody is, I think you got it on my report, but we got a free speed sign from the state of Maine. So it's a solar operated speed sign that we're going to pick up, I think, on the 29th. We're all excited about that. It's computer operated, and we'll be able to move it throughout town depending on what mode what way we want to mount it. So it should be interesting, but that will help with a lot of, hopefully, the speeding about town, or at least making people aware of it. Emergency operations plan will be on for review, and that's about it.
Okay. I entertain a motion for the town to provide in-kind support to the Waldo in preparing the grant.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
You could probably
Consent
shut
calendar.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Old business, LED streetlight update.
I have a meeting scheduled with Paul Vessel, I believe in 2 weeks. I think we need to proceed with ours. The other towns are still gathering their information and working on it, but I want to meet with him. I kind of pushed the EDC to, since the Res Committee was not meeting, to really go over our specs before we meet with Paul. I really want to know what they want, so I can bring it back to you guys before we proceed. So that's where we are with them.
Great. Next item, any questions or comments to ask Julie about LED? Dangerous intersection discussion.
John Lash could not be here because he had a family emergency, and I was fully expecting John Daigle, and I did text him, but he is not here. I don't mean to be a spoiler alert, but I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. There are 4 that we are concerned about. Both John Lash, Chief Lash, and John Daigle recommend the Manktown Road go before the
220 and Old
220 and
Augusta.
Old Augusta Road.
Yep.
But they have a presentation, so hopefully John can get here.
What's the price tag on that one?
It's actually only about $30,000 to fix there. So, in the meantime, though, we are going to put lights, the LED lights at each of those intersections.
And what are they? Could you tell us what they are?
What, the LED lights?
No,
It's,
The Where? The Manktown, Old Augusta,
I don't, the other 2 escape me at the moment.
probably, is it, there's.
I heard of $250,000 for the 220 Old
Right.
Augusta intersection. I mean,
Right.
it's gonna cost a
Right.
lot.
But, so that, you know, when John has the specifics and all of that information, I don't want to speak for him and say the wrong thing.
32 in Maine is kind of scary.
32 and,
32 in Maine going
Yeah.
32 south.
Yes.
You can't see, you
No,
have
you
to go.
can't see.
And there are people who don't go all the way up.
Right.
They do that.
yep.
Yeah.
It's that Ford Raptor that's always parked there too, on the corner. The attorney's truck.
Oh,
I have a really
no.
hard time when I'm turning not
No,
to
that's Jefferson in Maine.
Jefferson and Maine.
That's a tough
Jefferson
one,
in Maine
too.
is not bad, except I was there one day when there were, all of the parking lots right along Main Street were full. And you couldn't, and there were trucks in front of the Tide Mart.
I'm at Jefferson and Maine,
Yeah,
but 32,
That's Bremen Road.
32 in Maine has been, according to the state, some things have been done to it, but you're right, it
You
still
can't
needs
see
more
till
work.
you have to go all the way up.
You do.
You have to make a 90-degree turn.
When I walk in the morning, that is, I would say that's one of the ones where we see near misses.
Yeah, where are we on the parking places there? I know, because they were parked in front of the Waldo Theater, all the way down there was zero visibility of that road until you were almost halfway into it. And that's a little
Well,
scary.
after we had that conversation with John the other day, he's going to send out, they're going to start putting notices on the cars that park there. It's
Yeah.
normally the same vehicles that park
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, if the other parking spaces are empty, you can watch that and time it, so.
Well, you don't
You
want to
know,
have
no,
to
it's
do
coming, you don't
that.
have, but it's safer.
Right.
But that day was very scary.
Okay, should we table this discussion until our next meeting?
I would.
Yep.
Motion to table?
So moved.
Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, okay, so we're tabling, all in favor, we're tabling dangerous intersections until the February 12th meeting then. Marijuana moratorium.
Max!
Coming.
I'd like to thank Max for coming on in on his not normally scheduled day.
Hey, dedication.
Nothing else to do.
Well, I'd also
Yes, I
like to
could.
have Freeman come up to the microphone too, as well,
Sure.
to speak. So talk about the moratorium on the medical.
Do you have your draft that
Yep.
he prepared?
Yes, that was the draft I prepared,
Whereas,
I think, a day or so after the last meeting. I have made some changes to it, and I gave a copy to Susan just because she's one of the better editors that I've known. The changes that I've made are just minor grammatical things and just putting in parentheses, like the select board is the legislative body of the town, just so there's no confusion there.
Where did you get the language? Was this from the MMA?
This was based on the town of Waldeboro's previous moratorium on recreational marijuana, and then Damascotta's moratorium that was just passed for their transition to adopting or changes to their medical marijuana and recreational marijuana laws.
Does anybody have any questions? Or
I'm just waiting for people to comment if they have something to say about it.
Can you give, for the viewing audience, could you give just a little synopsis of what this, just a shortened version of what this will do for our town?
So, in December, an amendment went into effect for the Maine marijuana laws, where municipalities have the option to opt in to medical marijuana businesses, whether it's a retail caregiver, someone who gives marijuana and some accessories, an edible manufacturing facility, cultivation facility, and a dispensary. To the best of my knowledge, Waldeboro has not opted into any of those since that law went into effect. I spoke with a legal analyst from MMA who had said that because we have in our ordinance language that approves a dispensary, that would be considered opted in. The point of this moratorium is to say for 6 months or 180 days that we will not approve any medical marijuana dispensary and cultivation facility until there has been language that has been approved and updated. So if you pass this moratorium, someone would have to update the language to how the select board would like it to be. And then in March, it would be presented to you. We put a warrant for June ballots, and then the people of Waldeboro would vote. And by the time that vote takes place, moratorium would still have a few more days in effect, and then we would hopefully have a conclusion by then.
Good.
Cool. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Can we have some more speakers come up first?
We can have more discussion, sure. Just remember, there's a motion on the table. I'm being lenient in terms of who's participating in the discussion. It just won't be the board, it'll be anybody who wants to have something to say.
And what's the motion on?
To approve.
To approve the moratorium as drafted.
Okay.
Okay, no one has anything to say at this point? Freeman?
Yeah.
Would you like to
Do you want the mic?
take the mic?
Well, the first thing I want to say is I think that Max did some great work on this, and he helped me elucidate some issues as well as a lawyer that I've been consulting with. So I'm in favor of this, but as we went into this, the first thing is information that came from the last meeting, the marijuana committee on Wednesday, and some previous ones, but without saying explicitly from one of the growers that they were having a petition, they intimated that they wanted to put both with medical and recreational back into the voting system, back into a vote. Now, I'll hold off on the recreational, that's not germane right now. But they intimated with medical that they wanted to basically consider opt-in, and they said, well, you probably should consider the rules of the road, because if we just opt in, there would be no rules. And that brought in a whole discussion we had with Max, which was very illuminating, which is that my lawyer says, and I can pass it out to you, that if we did opt in, we had the right, and the question is timing, to say, okay, not counting the 3 that are already grandfathered, which we can't touch, that we could say, well, if we have medical marijuana caregiver storefronts, we're not talking about caregivers alone in their homes, but just storefronts, that we could actually say where they went, and we could say even how many could actually operate concurrently in the town. Which, for example, in a thing I hand out, the lawyer said we could say only 3 could operate, in addition to 3 we already have. But the question came up in the conversation with Max, which he alerted me to is that let's say we came into April and they presented a petition to Eileen within the 60 days, the proper right, and it went in, and let's say that they won the vote. Well, this has nothing to do with this, which I think is fine, but then it would mean that we actually had no preemptive rules on what the opt-in would actually be in terms of either geographic location for a storefront, or for the number of caregiver storefronts, or for the one dispensary that would then be permitted. And so the question was, what would you do? Now, Max said, I haven't been able to get my lawyer to do this, but the question would be, could we then, let's say the vote was in early June and they said there was an opt-in, could the select board have a moratorium and say, okay, you've opted in, now we have the right to actually adjudicate it? But then the next question is, what's the language of the petition? What if the petition they have and the ordinance they want has no limits or is very expansive? Then we, in effect, the question is, I don't know the answer to this. Are we really protected? What if it's open-ended? Well, we could have 20 caregiver storefronts, and it could be anywhere in the town, because we learned with, for example, in this, and I was not objecting to it, but with Cider Hill, we realized from the lawyers that we really had no real ability legally under the old law to object to that caregiver. So the question is, at least now, I don't really know the law and what really we could do or not do. And I think it's important that we consider it, even as we approve this, which I think is good work. I think we need to be alert to that. And the second thing, if you'll permit me, on the recreational was, which you saw, which was, at least there, we would like to say that it's just been voted on less than a year, and we think that there's that case we showed you, Superior Court, that it really would be right and within your power to at least wait one more year before we put recreational back on the ballot. And which give us more time, frankly, to see how other towns adjacent to us are actually dealing with the situation and what their experience is. So I'm not gonna make this longer. Again, I wanna thank Max for some really interesting conversation that alerted me to things that I hadn't really thought about.
He has that way.
Have a few jokes.
So I have a lot here. And this, again, this has to do with medical and the ability of a town to put parameters on it if the town so determined. And again, it would have to be ultimately by an ordinance, not a moratorium.
Thank you very much, Freeman.
Thank you.
John,
Yes.
you want to go to the podium?
Lectern.
Thank you. Thank you. Next term.
John Lawrence, North Waldeboro. In this discussion on medical marijuana, the moratorium, cultivation for a medical facility, is that covered in the December addition or changes on medical marijuana?
Cultivation facilities?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's also part of this.
Okay, I didn't quite hear you. Did you say that it was covered in?
It should be.
Is it though in the document?
In the moratorium?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess my only concern is, I know that other towns have had attorneys at all of their discussions involving these details. And I hope that we are not going down the slope like we did early on when I was at a planning board meeting where we weren't well enough informed and we got information from the members of the planning board which are not accurate. And I don't say that in criticism of anybody, I think we're trying to do a good job. I just wonder why we do these things without counsel from an attorney who will show up in like a workshop environment and present, so those of us that are concerned, as well as the select board members, can have some education from one of the attorneys that specializes in this. And Jan Minzy, I know, attended one of those meetings.
Numerous of those
And
meetings, many
numerous,
of those.
and one that I saw you at, where we were trying to educate ourselves in another town.
Yeah.
And I think that we should seriously consider having some kind of a formal attorney involvement in the process to get this right.
That's up to you guys.
Are you talking about an attorney to review the moratorium? Or an attorney to review the process that occurs while the moratorium is in place?
That's a very valid question. Then I guess it brings another question from me. How sure are we that the moratorium verbiage is covering the details properly so that we have the latitude we will need during the moratorium to conduct what else has to be completed and prior to a town vote, the document that everybody will see and vote yes or no on, right? Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
A motion on the table?
Yeah, there is a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Freeman?
Just one other point then, as good as this moratorium is, the one thing it doesn't do is what the previous one we did for recreational, it would not stop a petition. So if you wanted to delay a petition, you'd need a much broader moratorium that simply says we will not consider, the town would not consider a warrant on opt-in until it had further investigation. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do that, I'm simply alerting you to the fact that the previous moratorium we had was broader in effect. It actually prohibited anything from actually becoming a warrant proposition on the ballot. This, which is excellent, is more limited. It corrects something that's ambiguous in the law that we have. So I'm not arguing against this, I'm simply saying it doesn't do what the moratorium did, I guess, a year and a half ago in January.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
In light of that discussion, how does the board feel about having attorney involvement in part of this moratorium process? I mean, I don't know. I'm just going by what Max and whoever is here, but.
I'm going to trust Max, and he's researched it and gone to other towns who've had, and we have MMA, who has numerous attorneys who work on this regularly.
Other than maybe
I
at
think
the
it's up to
end,
the people.
have an attorney review it, maybe.
You want to have an attorney review the moratorium that's on the table now, you mean?
No,
At
No,
what cost?
yes, during the process.
at the end,
Yeah.
the draft.
Yep.
You know, for the ordinance.
I agree.
I mean, just, I know Max is,
You guys are the ones who are determining this. You can do whatever you want. I will not
I
be
mean,
hurt.
like I said, at the cost, I think not having him through the whole process, maybe for the final draft of what we come up with or Max comes up with.
Any other comments? Is anybody going to make a motion to withdraw or to reconsider? So we do have a motion on the table.
There is a
Should we
motion on
There is a
vote on this
motion.
first?
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion on the table? Opposed? Abstentions? 3 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 opposed.
So we have
Motion passes.
in favor Minzy, Simmons, and Collmore, opposed Witchenbach, and abstain Butler. Just so that you got that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I would address Freeman's point, if I may. I think if someone were to do a petition and it were to come in front of this board to go on a warrant in June, I know my position, given the Supreme Court case, would be non-supportive of
You talking medical or recreational?
it. I'm talking about any petition at this point. Given that we have a moratorium in place now, and given that the other issue was decided very recently
Do you think,
at an election in this town.
I don't know, I
What
question
if-
that.
What if their petition was
I think we have to.
caregiver storefronts, not a dispensary? And they would argue that this moratorium doesn't address
We'll give them preference to certain
caregiver storefronts.
Make the argument. See where that.
And bear in mind too, they're running out of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to extend the conversation, but I would point out that when we presented we didn't get to Eileen until pretty close to, within maybe, what, 3 weeks of the deadline? The deadline is what, the first week in April? So, you know, that still gives someone all of February and March.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a long time.
I think it's up to the people. I don't think we should, I personally don't think we should choose who makes a petition and who doesn't make a petition. I think anybody should be able to, as long as they follow the rules. And then if it goes on the warrant, then it's up to the people. It's not really, that's not something that's really up to me or this table. That's up to the people and let them decide. So I don't think, it almost sounds to me like it's out of fear. And I don't know if that's true, but that's sort of a feeling that I get, that's out of fear that something might happen but change. But to me, that's up to the people. You know, and they'll make that decision, and whether we like it or not, we go along with it, or we should, I think. I think that's how democracy works. I've had a lot of things that I didn't agree with, but it's the law, you know?
Point taken. Any other comments?
I
Move
know
on.
it's tended, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not even arguing against some sort of opting in to medical marijuana. What I'm saying is whether or not the town can actually put its own parameters on that, so it's not open-ended to the point that there could be 100 caregiver storefronts.
I'm only
Or-
talking about the petition, a petition, I'm talking about that in general.
I know, but I'm saying that a petition in general may have a proposition that is open-ended and unlimited.
It may, and that's up to the people, not up to me. Then we advertise, then you just educate people.
Thank you. Let's move on. Updated town manager goals list.
If you look in front of you, you have a 11 by 17 list of 42 items with circles, arrows, and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. So this is the list. The pink-ish on the back adds ones that I've added since our last update. And there's a couple on here that I need some guidance on. And one of them, because there's a couple I think that they've been on the list a couple of times. Madomic Riverboat rides with presentations about the history of the river in Waldoboro. I think that needs to be a private business venture. I think I'd like to remove that because that's not really something we can do.
In fact, we've done this. That was done this summer by one of the local groups.
Right.
MVLT had a boat ride, and Mark Disco came on board and talked eloquently about the history of Waldoboro and the river. It was a really interesting thing.
Right.
It would be good to get a business to do that.
We could,
Can we work on
and,
that?
and Recreation's gonna do it in the spring,
Yep.
but I just,
Off
for our
your desk.
seniors, right, but I just think that needs to, right, because I don't want it to keep coming
Yeah.
up, because that's not something I can actually do. That's number
11.
11.
Number
okay.
11.
And number, the other thing, number 10, it just said 1 to 3 boards and committees at each meeting for when we have these committees come in before us. I think 3 boards and committees at each meeting would be a little cumbersome, and I'd like to just do it once a quarter. We have heavy agendas lately, and I'd like to, I mean, I have no problem having one committee come in, but to have 3 at the same time would be a little cumbersome, so let's just get that down.
Yep.
Number 6, Waldoboro Volunteers Day. I have no problem with that as long as one of you does it. But I just,
I
April's-
actually thought we removed it, but
no, I don't think we did. I
Okay.
think we kept it on there. But
Okay.
if one of you could do that, it's just that I don't have time.
6.
That's the Waldoboro Volunteers Day.
Yeah.
I thought we had found an
Well,
alternative.
no, I worked with Liam
But
way
it-
back when.
It
Yeah.
does say select board, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
But I don't mind if you guys
Do we
can
want to
do that.
remove it? Do we want to remove it?
I
I
would.
thought we did, but.
Yeah, I thought we
Okay, if you
too.
did, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't think you did. So 18 is on the next page. That is updated webpage. Is it content or appearance? It's both. I'm going to put a new website in the budget. Facebook is updated. That's how I did the storm updates this storm. I find Facebook easy. The website, we're still on Joomla. I have some Joomla experience. It's still confusing to me. So a drag and drop one out of a can will probably be our answer. We're not going to be able to have the minutes back 10 years, but very few people go back that far to look at things. And if they do, we have it electronically. We'll just have to mail it to them.
Okay, you have
But
the
I much, I,
Still
I,
have the file.
right, I
Yeah.
really think if it's just, it needs just to be
Yeah.
a little bit better organized.
Yep.
Sometimes less is more.
Updating the sign ordinance, wouldn't that be part of the review?
Yes.
That will be occurring once that committee is established?
Yes, and there is two
Really?
typos on here too that I have to fix.
Again?
That was something that was on
Yeah.
the list.
We just went through that, I thought.
Number 25, composting at the transfer station. I was hoping John would be here.
Oh, yeah.
I needed a little help on that one. For some reason, I don't know what we're talking about there.
We had talked, when the transfer station committee existed, about moving beyond the participation we currently have with Lincoln County Recycling on composting. Right now, when you bring 18 buckets of compost, the small buckets, you get a 30-pound bag of compost. And we wanted to actually try to establish our own composting at our transfer station, so we wouldn't be doing it through Lincoln County. That was the idea.
Okay.
Maybe we could fold that into a general discussion of revitalizing the transfer station committee through the management board.
Okay.
I think John talked about that some. John got us involved in the
And he
Lincoln
would-
County
he's
compost, I
been
think.
enthusiastic.
And we
about
would
it.
have to do that after I think we do the whole closure. So we'll tie that to the closure and
Yep.
re-upping the committee.
Yep, just sort of
That's a great
general-
deal.
Yep.
Fastest compost I've ever made.
The number 27, the 2024 eclipse. I know you guys snuck that in on there on me.
I'm not
How
sure
come
how
I-
that got in there.
Because it's going to be a big thing, and we are centrally located to be a great viewing
We're in
area,
big- yeah.
apparently. So maybe we could pass that off to the WBA as something to attract visitors, but or the EDC. But Julie needs that off her plate
I'll
because
bring that up with them.
Do we have the exact month of that?
I do not.
Oh, it'd be good if
We'll
someone wants to
research it.
start planning.
We will
Okay,
research it.
Yep.
We could be
Are
the
you
only
still
town in the
talking about
state.
an EMS Enterprise Corporation?
That's a long-term, yes. That
Okay.
actually came up again as we are negotiating with all these towns that we're going into. So that's interesting, and I know that I did put in my manager's report, we're gonna be taking a ride out to Jefferson. So I'm assuming Bob and Abden expressed interest in that. So I guess that's who will have to drive me that night, because I don't know where I'm going. The designation of historic buildings, I'm gonna put my Cracker Jack Max on. Max, my list became your list. Designation of historic buildings and obtaining parking areas, so you're on that.
I'm glad you took the day off.
Isn't he? The things that happen when he's not around. I did add our public health forum and recreation forum, updating our EMS agreements because that has been a big thing. Broadband completion, because that keeps coming up and currently we're working on that. Contract negotiations, main water negotiations, and their rate increase and the Madomic River testing. So 42 wonderful little items. Well, actually now I'm down to 41 because we took one off. Two.
A couple of.
Thanks, so 40. Is there anything you want to add?
Yes,
Okay,
I had a brilliant idea.
okay.
Wait till you hear this. I would like to build a nice gazebo for the front yard out here so we can have summer concerts.
Does it have to be in the front? Could it be
Well, I
somewhere
don't know
else?
where else. I thought first of down at the public landing, but was turned down on that because there's so many things.
Wait, now I didn't turn you down. I just pointed out there's somebody very loud pulls up in a boat, and if it was during a concert, it could be an issue.
Well, they Concerts can't
fingers
go
at you.
clamming on that day. But anyways, I
All
thought
votes
maybe
allowed.
concerts on the river.
Says mine.
I had it all set up in my mind and
Marine
everything.
Park, I thought would be
Yeah.
excellent for
Well,
that.
there's
Yeah.
River Park right in town.
Yeah, we've
With
got,
good
my
parking.
goodness, you're right, that's MVLT.
Right in town on the river,
Where?
That would be the perfect spot
Right behind
for
Bear
it.
Hill.
Behind Bear Hill.
behind the American Legion, there's a
But there's no
path.
parking or anything.
There's all kinds of parking.
There's lots of parking.
American Legion.
There's
Try to
American
get down
Legion.
there.
Well, you'd have to get permission from
They,
them.
they already have. They've already
Well,
given
what's the matter
permission.
with right out front here? Right on Route 1? People go by, they'll hear
Yeah, well,
the
that
music
too.
and
I mean,
everything.
just, I thought you were saying on the river. 'Cause
It's the
They
idea.
talked about that.
It's the idea.
MVLT had talked about that when they purchased.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
they did.
I think, so the gazebo, okay, I will add that. A gazebo,
For
And a
concerts.
band.
a band
Well, someone
gazebo.
would have
Town
to be in
band.
charge of
Who should we make in charge of that?
We need a town
Who
band, you know,
schedules
that
the
drives on it,
bands?
rides on a truck.
scheduling the bands.
I think
Someone-
that
Katie
sounds,
could do it,
Katie,
Be
Yeah.
good.
I'd say, yeah.
And she'd do refreshments and everything.
select woman,
See me after this meeting.
Don't look at
Katie,
me.
we could sing.
This is all you.
No.
This is all your
No,
idea.
Julie can sing. And I have
Yeah,
one
but
more
we-
question.
It's a good idea.
I think it would be a nice added touch to the town.
it
People
would,
can come out.
I'm all for band shells.
Okay.
That was part, when we were going to get the property right next to Pine
Yeah, I
Street
know.
Landing, that was part of the whole project and the
yeah.
whole theory. Because then when somebody pulled up in their very loud boat, it would not be so
Loud.
Could you put a
Intrusive.
muffler on that thing?
There's two of them.
Muffle it.
I just have one more question on number 2. Route 1 and 32 intersection, what's going on there?
Well, it's pretty much completed. You have the,
Oh, it's the lines that.
it's the lines are completed. I don't know what else to do. I mean,
Katie and I have always wanted to have a sign up there where the light is showing people how to turn because people still don't know how to make that
but they
turn.
don't know how to turn even with arrows.
They can't follow the line. It's
Right,
unbelievable.
okay. Do you
I
want,
point to it.
do you guys want me to ask for turning arrows there?
Yeah, I would love it.
Oh, put
That would be
arrows in,
great.
sure.
Yeah,
Like up here?
Just have them,
Well,
no,
but they
down
have 'em
here
up
at
here.
Route 32.
not signals.
You don't want
Just
signals?
the sign that shows
Okay,
which.
they just want the
that you're gonna
sign.
You know
cross
where
it.
those dotted lines are?
Yes.
Well, right beside there, put arrows going in what direction,
Okay,
Or a sign
I will ask.
up high.
either one.
Yeah.
I already presented that, but they said no.
I gotta be honest. Okay. Anything else? Going once.
We'll review this again in 6 months,
Okay.
see how progress is going.
You will be able to knock off.
Okay, we'll move on. Up, C, AD grade discussion.
You wanna have that discussion, Bob?
Oh, you bet. We gave it a shot.
Okay. So the reason AD Gray is on the docket is I need to know, we've given it a year. What the select board said was, we'll aggressively market it for a year. We have had people come in and look at it. Yeah, oh, looks great, but then it dies. I
Make
need.
a motion to tear it down.
I need to know, if you want to tear it down, I have to be emotionally prepared to put that in the budget. And I wish John Daigle was going to be here, but just so you know, I messaged his wife. He is sound asleep. The poor man has been out plowing
Don't wake him up.
like crazy, so, I do think he's entitled to a little
Can we
bit of
table
sleep.
this discussion until our
We could
February 12th meeting?
Table the discussion, but what we have to consider is we either have it professionally,
It wasn't seconded.
you died, Katie,
I died.
Oh,
your
I
motion
moved
died.
the
What was the
table to
motion?
the February meeting.
Is
I'll
there a
second that.
All,
Oh,
is there a
yeah.
discussion about tabling this? All in favor? Okay.
yeah. Yep.
And we just need to have a motion to eliminate 10.2.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
He did.
All in favor? 10.2
Will be
is done.
eliminated, what was the 10%?
Do we have any,
CBDBG analyze.
So we're
Daryl's not
doing
here
that.
tonight, doesn't look like we have filled.
You do not have Philbrook, but you do have to sign, so nobody can leave until you sign.
But I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?